Well, hello everyone, and welcome again to another edition of Give Us Five, where we have five standard questions that we like to pose to one of our great leaders. And today, I am so happy to welcome to Give Us Five Command Sergeant Major, U.S. Army retired Donna Brock. Donna is a soldier, a veteran, a mother, a grandmother, and I am so proud to call her my friend, my battle buddy. Donna and I have worked together with a suicide prevention program with the VA for the last 4 years. And welcome to the podcast, Donna. We're happy to have you.
Hi, Bob. Thank you so much. I appreciate you inviting me. I actually feel very honored to be one of your friends. And, we have a really great relationship. So I think this is really wonderful what you guys are doing as far as sharing information, with leaders. I
Yeah,
think it's
and
awesome.
truly, you are a great leader. And for those of you that have not done so, Donna's bio is attached to this month's newsletter. Take the time to read through it. She rose through the ranks of the Army, and we'll talk about that as we go through. But let's just start, Donna, with the first question. And the first question is, why the military? What attracted you to a military career?
Bob, I wish my answer was I always wanted to, be part of the Army or any of the services. And it was something that I grew up with seeing in my family, but that wasn't the case. So my mom passed away. I graduated from high school and my mom passed away that summer. Um, she had ideas, or, the whole thought was I was going to go to college, perhaps become a nun. My mom, she was a devout Catholic, and she saw all of us being little nuns and priests. And so when she passed away, which was sudden, she had a massive heart attack at the age of 40, that just changed my world. So I didn't go to college. I stayed home. I was the oldest of eight kids. I was helping my dad. Um, I found myself working full time, partying full time, and taking a class. So I was really overextending myself. I was getting myself in trouble, as far as I got in a car accident because I was partying too much. And I was finding myself, kind of lost, I guess you could say, in a way. So one day, a friend of mine and we were talking about what we're going to do. And so we just happened to go into an Air Force recruiting office. We saw it and we just thought, let's go see what they say. And we wanted to get into the medical field. And of course, they had all these little rules and stuff saying, well, you have to do this, you have to do that. And we were like, we didn't want to hear, we just weren't interested in what they were talking about. So right across the road or the way was the Army recruiter. And we went in there and we talked, and this recruiter really was good because he had me. Now, I had to convince my friend, but he had me write down. He was telling us all the things we wanted. I wanted to be a surgical technician, is what my thought process was then. And but I ended up becoming a medic, an Army medic. And so that's why I joined, and that's how I got in. Now, why did I stay in? Um, to be honest, after the first enlistment, I realized it was something that I liked. It was really working for me. I enjoyed the camaraderie. I saw myself growing. I had some good leaders, which was very important back then. And I found myself re-enlisting. And then, of course, there's always this story that I'm only going to do it for 4 years and, I'm going to go back home because I actually had a job that was waiting for me at the post office if I got out. But because I enjoyed the military, never went back. And I served 35 years.
That's great.
That's my story.
And rose to the highest rank and one of the highest positions in the Army as well as the Sergeant Major for the Surgeon General of the Army. Is that correct?
Yes, the amazing thing is you never see yourself there. But as I was, moving along and moving up in the ranks, I found myself really enjoying the leadership piece because I'm a people person. It's if you read my tagline is it's all about people. And I am true to that even to this day. Working with people, sharing and sacrificing and giving, self-serve, serving others. That's what I do. But when I found myself at the top, everybody says, okay, the best job is being a squad leader. Okay, number one. And then the next best job is being a first sergeant. And then after that, it's like you're detached from people. But that didn't happen with me because the way I looked at it is if I detach myself from people, well, yeah, that's what's going to happen. I ensured that I continued to grow and mentor others as I was coming along. And taking care of others and being open. So people have always been into my life at every step, even at the highest step at, in the Surgeon General's office. I mean, I was as at that time the top medic, if you will. And so all the medical personnel fell under us. So I found myself really wanting to be that example for others and be able to help others, instead of, them learning from the school of hard knocks, why not ask someone? Why not reach out? And then, that's what my way of giving back to the leadership.
That's great. That is great. Well, since we're talking about leadership, you know, uh, you very well know there's a long list of positive attributes and traits that leaders exhibit. I wonder if you might share 3 to 5 that you kind of hold dear to yourself.
Yeah, so there's so many. I mean, when we talk about values and when we talk about, traits, positive traits, there's so many that we work with, and all of them are important. Now, obviously, we can have them all, but we can't practice them all. And so for me, the very first one is integrity. Okay. You've got to be honest. You've got to have that sense of integrity where people will feel that they trust you. Because once you lose someone's trust, especially when it comes to integrity, then you're done. It's going to take forever for you to build that trust back up. So integrity is one of the traits, being honest with people, being upright and forthright with folks. That's one of my biggest ones. The next one that I would say is authenticity. So I know True Growth talks about being your authentic self, but I have to tell you, I'm a true believer in authentic leaders. Um, you have to people have to feel that when you come in front of them, what they see is what they get, and you're not hiding anything. You have to show yourself, and when you talk to folks, you have to be genuine. If they don't feel that genuineness coming from you, then you can't be authentic. So, if I say something, then that means that I need to do that, and not talk off the side of my mouth, and do something different. And the expectation is anything that I ask you to do, I would do it myself. And sometimes you have to show that. I mean, you have to physically show that to people because, we could talk all we want, but, until you actually show someone that you actually mean what you say, then it doesn't really mean anything to some folks. And it all has to do with building that sense of trust. I'm going to say the third one, which is very important to me, and I am an executive leadership coach, so I do speak this a lot when I'm coaching my clients. But being transparent. Transparency is something that I think a lot of folks take for granted, and it's really something that you have to work at. So you have to be able to show that you can be open. And when I talk about transparency, what I'm saying is we all have faults. Um, and there's nobody perfect. So if I'm talking to someone and I want to be open and honest with them, then sometimes I have to be a little bit vulnerable and expose, if you will, some of the things. that I am maybe weak at, or maybe I'm not so good at. Also, when it comes to communication, transparency is very important because you don't want folks to think that you're hiding something. So if you're expressing what the latest news is, or the latest rules or challenges that you're having, um, you don't want to hide anything from anyone because you want them to understand that you want their help, which is another important part of leadership, is that you don't have all the answers. So you want to pull things out from others, and you all the best that you can from the people around you in order to get after whatever it is that you're getting after. Um, and because if we had all the answers, I mean, well, shoot, we have no issues, right? But we don't. So you have to be open and honest with people. So those are kind of some of the ones that I really, hone in on when it comes to, positive traits.
That's wonderful. That's a great choice. So, Donna, you've had a very successful career. You continue to have a very successful career. We wonder, is there one assignment or one job or one achievement that you kind of say, boy, that I really benefited from this?
Um, I'm gonna say, let's put it this way. There's not one that I could actually put my finger on because when I look at my whole career, I had so many great leaders. If there was anything that really helped me to be successful and that really stood out for me was the mentorship that was given to me. And I didn't even, there were times when I didn't even realize I was being mentored. But it all started, seriously,
Yeah.
it all started off with my very first squad leader. And we had a platoon, we had the platoon, and no, actually, it was my first platoon sergeant. So my first platoon sergeant, I was in a air ambulance company, and I was not a flight medic. I was a radio operator. I was a little PFC, a little private, coming in, big eyes, listening to everything and just soaking it all in. And I had this gruff little platoon sergeant that he was so mean. I mean, he just would spurt out, all kinds of, back in the day, we used to cuss a lot, at us and stuff. But um, he would pull me to the side, and even though he was chewing me out about something or he was telling me, he was also teaching me at the same time. And I was thinking I was getting in trouble, but actually he was helping me to grow. And I realized that years later when I went to my next assignment, which I had the most fabulous squad leader ever in the world. And I'll never forget him. His name was Sergeant Dennis. And this guy took care of us. He actually took us up under his wing. He helped us all to grow within our squad. And I mean, he was the kind of guy that would march you to the education center and you will sign up for a class right there and then. I mean, he made us do stuff, but obviously, we were very willing. And so those are like my first two. And then even as I got as a first sergeant, I had sergeant majors that were mentoring me. And I started to realize that good leadership helps you to rise, in the ranks and helps you to grow as a person. And realizing that the mentors that I had, it helped me to continue in my mentorship of others. So, for all intents and purposes, the mentorship that I had from every leader, from squad leader, platoon sergeant. Now, don't get me wrong, I had some bad leaders. Okay. I know the difference between the good leaders and the bad leaders, and I believe that you learn from them all.
Sure.
So that's one thing that I do emphasize. I did emphasize to folks that you got to learn from the good and the bad, learn what not to do, learn, how you want to grow and be your own, your own self as you grow. So that's the best answer I can give to that because there
Oh,
was
that's great.
nothing that, yeah.
It's a great answer. I wonder if you'd if you'd share maybe three tips for a young person who's aspiring to becoming a leader.
Well, there's a lot of old school stuff that I learned that stuck with me. And the first one is be yourself. Um, you can't be somebody else. There's a lot of pretenders out there, a lot of people who like to, act like someone else, but you got to be yourself because if you're not yourself, then you'll be exposed. Eventually, you'll be exposed. You have to know yourself. You've got to know your strengths, you've got to know your weaknesses. A lot of folks feel that, well, I want to hide my weaknesses, but no, 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 no. If you know yourself, those strengths are going to get you through when you need them the most. The weaknesses are the things that you have to work on and be able to ask someone if you sometimes you need to ask someone to help you. So maybe your weakness might be that you're not a good speaker, you're a good communicator. And what that takes is practice. So you have to practice. Maybe if you have a friend, a spouse, or whatever at home, and practice at home. And practice with them or looking in the mirror. I always tell people to reflect on themselves, look in the mirror and see what you look like when you're talking. And sometimes we make, gestures and different things that we don't realize is happening. And then when we're looking in the mirror, we see it if we're in our true selves and true form. And then it kind of shows you, and you can kind of take that and work with it. And the third thing that I would say, one of the biggest things that I would say for young folks, and I think it came along in the last 10 to 20 years, I guess, but this whole thing called growth mindset. Growth mindset is a real thing. People have fixed mindsets. Those are those ones, those folks that they won't change. Like my dad will not get a computer for no reason at all, but he'll use a phone and he'll fumble through it. And I always tell him, Dad, you gotta grow out of this, and try to learn a little bit more. But I have the growth mindset. We learn every day, and if you think you know it all, then you failed. You have failed. Okay. So we grow every day and every little thing, even if it's something you've heard before, it's always good to refresh your memory and refresh that part of you that you can, helps you to grow and continue to build on the knowledge that you have and the experience that you have. But having a growth mindset and keeping that growth mindset as you go along will help you. I mean, in ways that you wouldn't even believe. So those are some of the tips that I would give them.
That's great. That's great. Um, as a woman leader at a very high level, what would be your advice to young women who aspire to lead?
Well, okay, so as young women, what that's one of the things that I do is I try to help to mentor and advocate for women. Um, One of the things that women need to understand is if you want to be a leader or move up or anything that you want to do it because you want to, not because it's expected of you. So, and what I mean from that is sometimes there's these expectations of us, and people expect you to play a certain role or be a certain way. Oh, so you want to join, the infantry. Okay, let's just say, and I think we're still in the infantry. All these different changes in the world right now. I don't know what's going on, but if I wanted to be a combat, in combat arms, um, be yourself, but don't roll over and be something that you're not. Okay. So you might be excited about the job that you're getting into, but people will expect you to be a certain way. Now, there's certain things, rules and regulations that we have to abide by. Okay. So we understand that. But when it comes to your personality and your spirit, you don't change that just because somebody else expects you to. And you have to be true to yourself. That's number one. The other one is find an advocate. Um, so in the military, obviously, I think the percentage has gone up to 15% women, I believe. The number it's fluctuated in the years, but it used to be like 12% for a very long time. And I'm sorry, my dog is whimpering. Excuse me. But uh, there's not a lot of us in the ranks, okay? And it depends on what MOS, what job you go to. So you have to find an advocate. A lot of women don't want another woman advocate. But let me tell you something. We have to stand together because although you can have great mentors in men, and I've had absolutely great mentors in men, I didn't have very many women that I could look up to and talk to when I was young. And when I did, it wasn't something that I really was looking forward to, somebody that I really respected and trusted. So, but we need that part. We need that because there's certain things about us that men can't help us with. Okay. And so find someone, find an advocate, whether it's a woman or a man, but preferably both. Find them. And then the last one is you're not a man. Okay. We have to understand that women and men are different. Sometimes we try to prove ourselves and we're constantly trying to prove ourselves, which it's okay to a certain degree, but you're not a man, so don't try to be one. And in my world, it's good to have a balance of both. So, you bring your femininity, if you will, into the fold, and the man brings the masculinity into the fold. And whether those cross paths, it's okay. But don't try to be someone that you're not. That's my main message. Be yourself. So those are some things that I would, when I talk to women and, you know, but the biggest thing is finding that advocate. Now there's more to find as opposed to in the past, because I'm going to tell you it was rough. I've gone to when I was sitting at the top, in my position, I would go out into the field and I'd find the women to find who are you talking to. I'd see women in combat units that maybe they weren't infantry or anything, and I'm looking for the medics, right? And so I'd find medics, I'd find all kinds of other jobs in these organizations where they had no leadership that looked like us. And they would be just thrilled when I would come down and talk to them and just soak in, whatever I could do to help them with their questions that they had. And that's what we needed a little bit more. Even if you don't have a woman leader in your ranks, find someone that you can talk to, mainly for those things that, a man can't really help you with. And a lot of times, men, and then on the flip side, and I would tell men all the time, don't be afraid, to talk to women about their issues. You need to learn and grow yourself because if you're in charge of them, I would think that I would like to know a little bit more about how I can help, how I can assist, how I can help you grow within, your area of expertise. So both sides. That's coming from me. That's my perspective.
I think that's great. Well, listen, you did great, but I'd be remiss to let you go without asking you if you would share your true growth model. I mean, your five core values and your purpose statement. We'd appreciate hearing them.
And I've got my card. And it's funny because I actually have two. I keep one in my wallet and I keep one on my desk, and I'm sitting at my desk. But when it comes to my true growth model, my core values well, I've fluctuated on one of them a little bit, so I will be very transparent on that. But my core values are family, optimism, fitness, integrity, and serve others are my five values. Now, the one that I haven't done as well as the fitness. It's been more sporadic, but it's still important to me. It still is one of my values that I keep, I try to make sure that I emulate and I work on. And my core purpose is to live a rich, optimistic life while serving and positively influencing others.
Oh, that's a wow. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's my purpose. And I live it, I breathe it. Um, there's nothing in that statement that I do not hold true and and absolutely work on.
That's great. Well, Donna, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. I'm sure there's a number of people out there that will benefit from your wisdom and your feedback. And folks, join us next month. Our guest is going to be Coach Mac Brown of
Ooh.
Fame, and we look forward to meeting with you then. Donna, take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Bob. And I'm always available to anyone who ever wants, if they want to talk or just chat, I'm always available. But
Thanks
thanks,
so
Bob, so
much.
much.
Take care.